Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. I should see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today in a rather later episode, I suppose, of Animal Crossing. Sorry as I adjust my chair. Of course, over here. Well, I say of course, yeah, you might not even know, which is fair enough, but it is Chinese New Year's Eve, or Lunar New Year's Eve, I suppose, because, you know, not just China, but celebrate it. Today, well, right now, as I'm recording this of UK, which meant I was a little bit busy throughout, we didn't go anywhere, but I was a little bit busy throughout the day and, you know, I just couldn't really find the time that I quite wanted to record Animal Crossing. So, recording it now nearly at 9 PM, which is considerably later than usual. But anyway, good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 8:59 PM on Monday, January 31st, 2022. Oh, okay, so we know CJ's visiting today. I don't know if we actually... No, it's fish we have, it's bugs we don't. Fish we have, bugs we don't. Not that it really matters, because we aren't really putting statues up anywhere. Not statues, but figurines up anywhere. It's Chinese New Year's Eve right now, which means it's at 4 PM UK time. I think it's 4 PM UK time. It was Chinese New Year in China, which is kind of like, you know, I mean, this is a really sort of like, I'm not going to say problem, but like niche thing you run into, I suppose, if you are, I suppose, someone who lives in a different country to the holiday of the countries you're celebrating, and if they're ahead or behind. No, probably most of the time if they're ahead of you. Okay, right now China is like about 8 years, not 8 years, 8 hours in front of UK. But the Chinese New Year celebration, quote, kind of starts at 4 PM your time, but it also continues on to, like, you know, midnight the day after as well. So you kind of get like an extra 8 hours, I suppose, of a celebration. And there's a bit of confusion. It's like, oh, what day do you actually properly celebrate Chinese New Year on? Do you celebrate it on the UK day, or do you celebrate it in regards to a Chinese day? And, you know, and I guess our family's answer is both. So that's kind of what's happening. That's why it's a bit of a later recording today. But tomorrow we'll start talking about Chinese New Year stuff, because, you know, that'll be more in time of... it would be more indicative, I suppose, of a time I'm aligning with me, or when to actually start talking about it, I suppose. But for now, we are just sort of going to vibe out. We're going to pretend today is a normal Animal Crossing episode. It's just at like 9 PM for whatever reason. I don't really got all that much to say, I suppose. Because, you know, I want to save all the Lunar New Year stuff that we're going to talk about for tomorrow. We're just going to talk about different stuff. I don't know, time zones, isn't it? I mean, it's a really specific problem. It's not. I'm not even gonna say it's a problem, because it's not really a problem. Can we even? We can't pick up these weeds. I don't know why I never tried, but here we go. Crazy Red, what you got for sale? Nothing. These are both fake ones, but we're gonna buy this one because... Whoa, hold on. A fake girl with a pearl earrings actually closing her eyes. Hold on. Are there actually like different haunted paintings? Hold on. New Horizons haunted art. I don't know if it's all the fake ones are always haunted, or am I just making up my mind? We're solving. The woman in the fake one is closing her eyes at night and opens in the morning, as if she's actually going to sleep. I don't even understand why they put this in, but it's quite amusing what we did in the first place, I suppose. Hello, Tortimer. Excuse me. Let us put some items in storage. What was I going to say? I don't know. It's a very, very... Oh, we have nothing to put away. It's a very, very specific problem to have. And yeah, I hesitate to actually call it a problem, because it's not really a problem per se. It's more just like it's a thing which happens. You know, time zones exist and that sort of thing. Sometimes you have to adjust yourselves for them. And with that comes a bit of a confusion of being like, oh, you know, obviously Chinese New Year, it's a thing which you celebrate mainly in China. Not to say that people in other countries don't celebrate them. I mean, look at me and my family, I suppose, right now. But it's more like the situation where it's like, I don't know which time zone to go by, but, you know, we kind of just do both. But mainly the Chinese one, I suppose. In the end, it's kind of up to you, but it's also a bit of a weird situation to think about. And also, my hands are kind of dry. I'm going to put some coconut cream on them if you don't mind. I mean, it's not like you can particularly stop me. The only thing you can really do is like fast forward and ignore it. I'm going to, you know, do it away from microphone. You don't have to hear this weird squelchy sound. And anyway, luck with health will improve. Okay, which is, you know, nice, but it's not actually particularly meaningful in any sort of way. If you don't know, I have a very dry skin, so I had to use moisturising cream to make sure I don't get, I know, dehydrated. No, not actually, but, you know, like to keep my skin feeling nice, rather than all crackly and stuff. What should we do? Like, no, well, mission farming sounds a bit boring, but I'm not going to do Happy in Paradise customization, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't really have much to talk about, so we're sort of just going to do what we can. We'll do what we do best, which is, you know, for free G's, was it Girl Boss, Gatekeep, Gaslight? By the way, don't. Well, I mean, you can Girl Boss, I guess, and don't Gatekeep, don't Gaslight. Well, especially don't Gaslight. I mean, gatekeeping. I know there's probably good gatekeeping out there. I'm not really going to pass much judgments on that sort of thing. Anywho, let us. What Nookmar missions do we have? That is a camera. That is not a Nookmar mission. Do we have to get done? Catch bugs, dive for creatures, cook something, and make and grow a fruit tree. Those are quite annoying ones, I'll be perfectly honest. Oh, maybe Celeste is actually. Well, probably not because there's no Now I look at it, there's no certainly no meteor shower on today. It's going to make it rather unlikely. When do we get this message in a bottle? Was this yesterday? Got this message in a bottle. We're gonna rub me the right way. Is that how the song goes? I can't really recall. Let's stick up these flowers. I don't know, time zones are just a bit of a weird thing to think about. Obviously, you know, I'd imagine for a majority of people, you don't really think about time zones all that often, which is kind of fair. You know, unless you get really much of a reason to think about time zones, they don't really cross your mind all that often. But obviously, as someone who grew up with family in different countries and that sort of thing, I end up thinking about the Chinese time zone a lot, which is most of the time +8, and then sometimes around daylight saving times it gets to, is it +9? I forget which way around. It's either +8 or +7. Anyway, +8 is the one I always think about to get roughly the idea, because I mean, when you're thinking about what the time is in another country, normally, unless of course it's like something where you need to synchronize up the timings, being out by an hour doesn't really matter that much. Being like, oh, you know, what time my, you know, grandparents is the time for my grandparents right now. He's like, you know, +8, it's probably like, well, right now I guess it'd be like 5 a.m, 5 a.m, 6 a.m, 4 a.m, doesn't really matter, they're all kind of like the same. I guess 6 a.m is a bit different because maybe they'll be waking up around that time. I don't particularly know, but it's kind of wild time zones. Not like as a concept, it's a concept which makes sense, but you know, thinking about them. Or matter of fact, that they're always existing, but you don't think about them in the slightest. And I suppose you're probably more, not privy to that, but not biased against it per se, but more, you don't run into it nearly as often, perhaps if you, actually, you know, I was going to say if you're American, that's not necessarily true, because in America you have 4 different time zones, don't you? Or maybe even 5. You got like, let me think. You got Pacific, Central, it's not called Mountain, and Eastern? Is it just called Eastern? I don't know if that's right or not, but here you go. But I don't know. Like, I guess I'm thinking from my perspective as well. I don't really think about much of a time zone difference between Great Britain and the other sort of European countries all that much. Like, obviously I know things like, I think France is 1 hour ahead. I don't actually know for certain. No, France is not. Wait, no, France is. I'm just trying to think of it. Yeah, no, it's Spain and Portugal, which should be on the same time zone, roughly. At least Portugal is, like, isn't Lisbon? I don't know, time zones get really weird. Did you know there's like half time zones and quarter time zones or something? I don't know. All my knowledge about time zones comes from that Tom Scott video where he talks about time zones and like the difficulty of programming them into something. He had like an example of like, imagine you were programming an app which basically, if you put in any time zone in point of history, it will tell you the difference, how many seconds have passed from then till now. And the difficulty which comes up with that because, you know, time zones is just like a small step, I suppose, in the difficulty of the entire thing. Let us see. Oh, when we're going on Moss Island, time zones itself are only like a really small step. I don't see the crafter thing, the recipe, sorry. Sorry, a small step in the confusion, because apparently there's like half an hour time zones, which is not like absurd. I suppose I'm not going to be like, oh, the concept of half an hour time zone is just utterly befuddling to me. It's more like, oh, you know, it's something I've never really thought about. Like, I'm not sure if I guess it makes sense, but it's sort of a thing where I'm just like, I mean, it's not that unreasonable. It exists, I suppose. Like, I can see how it comes to that conclusion. You know, you're like awkwardly between the boundary of 2 time zones, and you're sort of just like, I don't know which one I'm meant to particularly stick with. So you go for like a half one. I don't know, hold on. Where do the half time zones actually exist? Just so you use old Google Foo to answer the questions for you. Half time zones. Half an hour and 45-minute time zones. I forgot about those ones, to be perfectly honest. Reject all, save and exit. Not only whole hours. some countries offset by half an hour. India is plus 5.5 hours. I didn't know India was. Australian states. Australia's multiple time zones. Some are 1/2 hour time zones. But why? The Northern Territories in the plus 9.5 hours. Eucla plus 8 hours 45. I wonder why. Probably the answer is whatever reason it's going to be because of like tradition. Not tradition per se, but it was something which was incorporated ages ago, and it just wasn't updated ever since. There was really no need to, because the difficulty of updating it is that you're going to have to change the entire country, I suppose, or that entire region over to a new time zone, which is really more of a nuisance than you might imagine. The same thing, we have in the UK. We have all our, despite the fact metric is the official unit system, we have a lot of imperial units still, because it's just more effort to convert everything over. You change everything from miles per hour to kilometers per hour. You're going to have to change every single sign in the existence of England and UK. I assume UK. I don't actually know if Scotland or Wales or Northern Ireland perhaps might be using kilometers or not, but doesn't really matter. You're going to have to update all of them, and then you're going to have to get people to get used to it, because some people are going to be like, 60, and we're going to be like, oh, that's 60 miles per hour, when it's actually 60 kilometers per hour, which is not significantly so. It's more like, 60 miles per hour is more like divide by 1.6. It's more like 40 kilometers an hour. No, wait, hold on. Sorry, 60 kilometers an hour is more like 40 miles an hour. So when they see a 60, they'll be like, 60 miles per hour, which is actually, they'll be driving at like nearly 100 kilometers an hour when it's actually meant to be 60 kilometers an hour, and significantly dangerous. And really, there's not really much benefit at this point, apart from just sort of like thematic consistency as opposed to across the country, which, don't get me wrong, if you could establish that from the beginning, that'd be great. But if you can't, then it's not really the end of the world, I suppose. I don't know what bugs we'll catch, because it's quite late. I don't think most of the butterflies are spawning. I think we might have to rely on hermit crabs and wolf roaches. One of these is. Are you serious? Neither of those are hermit crabs? Oh, maybe hermit crabs aren't in season. I don't actually know. Anyway, that's not really the point. Time zones are just sort of bizarre. And if you're in this one specific case where you don't know whether to adhere to your country's time zones or the country of your, not origins, but perhaps like the source country of the celebrations time zone or not, then you might be in the same sort of position when you're like, I don't really know. To be honest, I don't really have a good answer for you. But if you can celebrate them both, celebrate them both. You do a mini celebration once it first turns it in that country, then you can celebrate it for real when it actually switches over. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with this. There was something I was going to say, but I legitimately can't remember. We need to go to Nooks and actually sell the stuff we're holding, lest we clog up inventory. Specific scenario, time zones. Oh yeah, I was going to wonder. I was like, I wonder if you really run into that same sort of issue when things are hours behind. Probably not, I'd imagine. I don't even know. What's the English sort of holiday? Burns night? I mean, that's Scottish, I think, but yeah, sure, fireworks day or whatever. I mean, that's not really a thing people celebrate, I suppose, outside, probably of England. I don't know, it's not really a good English example, but say you're America. America? Yeah, you're from the United States or whatever. You celebrate Thanksgiving or whatever. Well, I don't know, because Thanksgiving is not really something you start celebrating come the strike of midnight, do you? Oh, maybe it is. Maybe a better example is like what if you're, Chinese, celebrating Chinese New Year, but you live in New Zealand or something, You probably just start celebrating on the switch of the hour, or switch of the day, I suppose, in New Zealand time. And when it switches in Chinese time, you probably just message your family. Oh, you might be asleep, I suppose. I don't actually know what time difference is between New Zealand and China, when I think about it. By the way, do you know China's all on one time zone? Just a fun fact for you. I mean, there are also, apparently there's meant to be not there's meant to be, there is local time zones which some regions also simultaneously use, and they'll have both iterations up. We should not sell fruit. We have a lot of things to sell in our venture. I didn't really realise that. We can sell this. We don't need that stuff. 26,000. What? 7,000? That's nothing. Give me more money. I guess most of it is fruit. Not fruits, flowers. Yeah, I guess when it switches New Zealand time, you probably start celebrating. When it switches Chinese time, you'll be like, oh, 新年快乐 to all your Chinese relatives or whatever. or you know, replace China with whatever relevant countries for your celebration. I hate the fact that you can so easily just erase these patterns. Like I'm laying them down as posts, and you're telling me that I can erase them just like that, huh? Despicable. In the words of Sylvester from Looney Tunes. We haven't had to open up the island designer for ages. What was I saying with this? Yeah, it's just a bit annoying that you can so easily erase them. Maybe at some point we start putting more decorations down. Hello, Biscuit. I feel like we haven't spoken to you for a while, but apparently we have. I forgot we need to go see Pecan, and we need to actually give her presents, because we can actually give her fossils now. It's not like the utmost importance or anything, but you know, it's nice to do. Blathers, you're actually awake. I don't know why we were going to talk to you, so sorry. I mean, if we could actually have like a just normal chat with you, Blathers, it absolutely would, but unfortunately we can't. Why Blathers never visits Brewster is actually beyond me. We've only seen Isabel Capon and one of Timmy or Tommy. I don't actually remember which one we see, but whatever. Anyway, time zones are just kind of wild. I feel like I've spoken about time zones before. Hold on, this is why I check YouTube Studio. I haven't updated my YouTube Studio stuff for ages. At some point, I absolutely got to. Yeah, cool. As I haven't given a title to tomorrow's. I don't even know what it Babbers You episode. I haven't. So whoops. I'm gonna search on time. Maybe it's a search zone. Oh, apparently I haven't spoken about time zones. There we go. Time zones, they're just weird things. Like, not weird as in, like, why do they exist? I understand why they exist. Obviously, you know, you can't just, you know, for one, if you're going to have to choose, like, a primary time zone, that's going to definitely cause a lot of contentious issues, for good reason, because, you know, I think a lot of people out there probably don't want to be, like, the default working hours, I suppose, during their day being, like, pitch black. Not exactly, great for vitamin D intake, and not exactly great for self-esteem. Or also, you know, it's spend more electricity, turning on lights and whatnot. Make sure all the flowers are gone. That's a wrong tool. Whatchamacallit. Yeah, and I perfectly understand why they exist. It's just it's a sort of situation where it's just like, why do you need a half-time zone? This is why. Where you Google again, maybe Google can enlighten me. Why do half-time zones exist? Oh, I didn't mean to stick it up. Half an hour is needed because it sits above the Atlantic Standard Time. What does that even mean? What did I just stick up? This probably. So it allows the sun to be directly overhead at 12:10 PM rather than 11:40 AM. Does that really matter? I don't really understand why. Oh, why are some countries 30 minutes off the global time zone? Here we go. Hold on. Whoa. Sorry, that must have been deafeningly loud for a bit. Luckily I wasn't doing anything, but sometimes my computer or keyboard, I don't actually know which part of it does it. It just randomly turns up my volume really loudly. To understand where time zones came from in the first place. Oh, I'm not reading that, I'll be honest. Oh, it's actually quite short. So back at creation, when it was 12 PM in New York City, it was 12:23 in Boston. Oh yeah, that was the thing. It was because of railroads, wasn't it? To actually have like a consistent schedule when they turn out that time zones were invented. Allowing exceptions. So why are 30 or 45 minutes off? It's largely due to politics in most places. In New Delhi, India, they found themselves halfway between two meridians and therefore decided 30 minutes each as opposed to adopting one time or another. There you go, sort of traditional reasons. Like, isn't that exactly what I said? You're sort of like halfway between both of them, depending on how the sort of time zone part's laid out. So they just went halfway house between them, not to give them anything else. Yeah, China's all standardised on plus 8 hours, which is just sort of like, you know, I understand in concept, but in practicality, you might as well just have it different time zones. It's not like it affects that much. I think, I mean, USA's doing fine about it, probably. I really didn't have much to say. I apologise. But it is a late night episode, so really what can you do about it? We just kind of hit Clean Up Island. And honestly, I might just round off this episode here at 20 minutes. I know it's really short, I apologise, but I really don't have much to talk about. And it's kind of late. So that just kind of happens. But yeah, I don't know. Time zone's kind of weird. What time zone are you in? I don't know. Is that a question for today? But anyway, if we're going to round up this episode here, so I apologise. Just keep the streak going, I suppose. But if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Deardarling. Likes, comments, subscriptions, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me Deardarling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.